Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we're just everyday people. We starting off today talking about a situation that's been going on for some time now. It has reached epidemic proportions, and that's in the state of New Hampshire. A town called Liverpool. They showed pictures of a family, man, woman, passed out on heroin in the public eye view with a child in the back while they're hyped up on heroin. From what I'm understanding is the epidemic is so great in New Hampshire that that's a common sight. They're saying it's so common to walk the streets in New Hampshire and see someone overdosed or passed out on heroin. They say that the addiction to heroin per citizen in New Hampshire is so great that nearly over half of the population is in New Hampshire is dealing with heroin in some way, form, shape, or fashion. Now, these are white heroin addicts. Predominantly of the heroin addiction in New Hampshire is white people. Now, I remember back in the 70s, and you saw this in the movie Superfly when he chased down those heroin addicts. Everybody wanted they fix. It was exploited when blacks was on heroin. They tried to make that as, well, as all drugs, they try to make it as it's a black problem. Even though blacks don't distribute drugs into this country. We wake up one morning and drugs is flooding through the black community. We wondering, damn, how did this get here? What's the procedure? What's the process? How do you take drugs, put them into a powder form, and it shows up throughout the black community, and black people in the 70s, early 80s, hooked on illegal drugs, destroying the community. Some of the black neighborhoods throughout America, you can still see the after effects of that war that was waged on a chemical war that was waged on black people back in the 70s and mid-80s. Families are still recovering from that. Now, as the tide turns, now you have white people who's, I guess it's their turn now to be addicted to drugs. Cocaine, heroin, meth labs everywhere. I mean, I remember in the movie The Godfather, they debating whether or not they should get into the drug trade. And their solution was bring it to the blacks. Get them hooked on it. Keep the problem into the black community. Don't let it get out into the white community and into the suburbs. We want to keep those drugs right in the black community. That's what that was about. And but it didn't work. You know, that actually backfired. That didn't. It wasn't contained to just black people. You find drugs, especially crack, start seeping into the suburbs. Drugs were seeping all over this country. And now it's spread, and it's spreading, and it's spreading. And like my wife says, you can't set a trap for someone else without setting a trap for yourself. That's a fact. You trying to, and you listen to the story of Rick Ross, our CIA agent, came to him, wanted him to distribute cocaine throughout America, and the funds from that went to fund the Nicaraguan war, the Iran-Contras, paid for the weapons. I mean, so really, the inner cities of America financed the war. And every war America ever had, blacks fought in it. So basically what we're saying is, the foundation and the bedrock of America is black people. But the way blacks are treated in this society, you never know. You wouldn't have the faintest idea that the foundation of America was black people. And let me get into that and break that down so you all can have a better understanding of where I'm coming from and where I'm going with all of this. The financial gain of America that put America first as far as money-wise, economic-wise, free labor, slave labor, to where you making 100% profit because you're not paying for any labor. So that allows you to boast, stick your chest out. You can bankroll other countries. You can become once you get your independence with slavery, you can dominate other countries. Now the British knew that the Queen opened up his prisons, sent his prisoners to America. And I'm gonna give y'all a whole scenario. The British sent its prisoners to America to help shape and formulate this America, what we call America. You all will leave prison, you all will go to America, and you all will start establishing trade. You all will build a society in the new land, but you will be under the Queen. Okay. Now, slavery, money is giving the Americans the big head. Hey, we making so much money. What do we need paying homage to the Queen for when, if we continue at this rate, we'll have so much wealth that we can turn our back on the Queen. But the key to fueling this desire is slaves. We gotta send the slave ships back to Africa. We gotta make the blacks over here with the Irish. We gotta invent this slave machine because that's the foundation of our wealth. So, taxes come. Queen, okay, we're gonna put a tariff on tea. We're gonna make this money off these taxes, right? Well, no, we're not gonna, and that's what America's saying. Look, we getting duped. You know, British had ended its slavery, its slaves, I think I think it was 1740 or whatnot. But they ended slavery. The British sent out slave ships, sent out ships to track slave ships, slave traders. America is at war with the British. The British bombarded the American ships with hails of bombs just dropping down on the American ships in the war between America and the British. Francis Scott Key was on board American ship. He was a lawyer, and he was actually going to negotiate one of his clients. He was negotiating for the release one of his clients when he looked out through the Native Americans called the looking glass, through the telescope, sees a flag still standing. That flag in 1814 gave him the inspiration to write a poem, which later became known as the Star-Spangled Banner. Then it became music. They put it to a hymn in 1931. But one of the verses of the original Star-Spangled Banner was really telling the British, the hirelings, excuse me, bless you, or the slaves, the only way, in so many words, that they would see freedom is in death when they die. That was part of the underlying tone of Francis Scott Key's Star-Spangled Banner. What he was saying was, we at war with the British. I look out in the sea, and as long as that flag is still standing, we have hope. And he's saying to the British, you want to free, you got rid of your slaves, you want to tell people how to monitor their way of life with their slaves, but these slaves it would allow us to have the financial wealth to stand up and fight you and eventually reach our independence. So the key to our survival are the slaves. So the only way in America is what he's saying in that Star-Spangled Banner, is the only way in America that the slaves will be free will be through death. Then they reiterate that sentiment by because put it like this, that mindset always was. Because let me give you an example real quick. If your baskets, let's say baskets, if your way of life was on selling baskets, that's the way you made your living, man, from bamboo. You found the wholesaler that sold you bamboo, the material to make the bamboo baskets at a cheap price. You making baskets hand over fist, and you making a good profit because you're not spending that much for the material, plus you doing the labor. But then he says that, and he don't mind selling you the bamboo sticks at a cheap cost because he's paying the laborers that's in the field cutting down the bamboo. He's paying them a little of nothing. So prices can be regulated to where you'll continue to make a nice profit. The people that's in the field, they making 3 cents on the dollar, a little of nothing. And he's making a profit by selling you the bamboo at a price you can't afford. But now say that the people that's in the field that's going out getting the bamboo, they fed up of being treated that way. They don't want to, so they negotiate, look, we want more money. Now the person who has them out in the field chopping the bamboo, he has to make the decision, what I have to raise the price on the person who makes the basket, or I have to find a way to suppress them so they can keep continuing doing that, cutting that bamboo for a little of nothing. That's what that's about. So what they saying is, if they can be free physically, when they was talking about the blacks in the narrative of keeping white supremacy or the 1% wealthy, they're saying they can be free physically, but mentally we'll have them working for us for our advantage, because in order for us to stay on top, we need workers or slaves. And that's including white people too. The 1% at the top, pimping white people too. They slaves in the game. Poor whites being used as well. It's just that the only sanity they have left in their mind is a false belief that I'm better than you because I'm white. Those who think that way. But they fail to realize is that you're being conquered right up under your nose, and you so blind to it because your hatred for black people is so strong till you don't even see or recognize your own demise. That's what that's about. So when Francis Scott Key, he was a lawyer. So lawyers are trained to think in a mathematical or let's say a visionary type way, or they supposed to be able to see the deeper meaning behind the issue, and then have to present it in a way to where it can touch the emotions of the juror, whether it be to make them angry or to make them sorrowful, make them happy or laugh. They have to take that situation that they're arguing or prosecuting or that they're dealing with. They have to take that situation and project it in a way to where any human being or juror that's listening, they would have to describe that in a way to where it will invoke a certain type of emotion within that juror, and then they tie it in and they relate it to the case that they're dealing with or to what's on trial. Let's put it like that. So Francis Scott Key, what he did was he overstood the situation. Hey, look, as long as that flag is still standing, and those who want to pry the slaves from our cold hands, we will fight you to the end, because you will pry our slaves from us, from our cold dead hands, because we will keep reinventing systems that will always keep them in the mindset of slavery. So basically, he's writing the Star Spangled Banner really is a testament to say, yeah, we go to war, and as long as that flag stands tall, the only way our slaves will be free is in by the grave. Is what he's saying. The only way the slaves are going to be free is in the grave. So that's saying that today, folks think they're free, but then you turn around and you see these the athletes. You see Colin Kaepernick. He understands that situation. He knows that there's a third verse to the Star Spangled Banner and what that third verse is detailing. He's aware of this. That's why he refused to stand. Now Shaquille O'Neal, and I met Shaquille O'Neal back in the day at the club at Scores. And he was in H-Town, and I'm pushing my first album and my record label back in 1999, Cold Black Gangsta Blues. And my partner Rashad knew him and introduced me to him, and we sat and had a few drinks. This was back in the day. And took a picture together. He basically, I know my partner Muhammad 2G produced some tracks for him, and he was trying. That's back in the time when he was trying to forge his way through the music scene. But Shaquille O'Neal said his father served in the military, and he didn't like the fact that somebody dishonored or disrespected the flag. But he may not have known all of the details surrounding the song and all of the Star Spangled Banner. And he might not know all of the details of the price that blacks had to pay in defense, or should I say the price that black people had to pay under the banner of that flag in order for that flag to stand. Let's put it like that. Okay, now check this out. Now Betsy Ross she sold the flag, but she didn't design the flag. And that's another interesting study on the flag, is the actual designer, the one who put the flag together. And I don't want to go in detail on that right now at this point. But in a sense, those who know who put the flag together for them because they wanted a flag can say, have a different point of view. Okay, they stand, are you standing in the memory of that ancestor who put that flag together? But that flag that they put together was for them. Let's put it like that. But they asked for a flag. And then we'll tie all that in at a later date. But I'm basically just saying, when you take an oath, see, they had miseducated blacks in this country since we've been in this country. Done it with the Bible. Done it with Constantine and his form of Christianity. Miseducated us on Columbus discovered America. miseducated us on a lot of things that are important to, not just important to life, but a lot of things that was important in shaping your reality. It was a lot of false information that was injected in some truths. So your observation on reality became obscured because some truths were missing and some falsehoods were given. So when you look at a thing, you're not getting 100% perspective. You get 50% dull. It's dulled down. So when you go out and act on something that's dulled down, you wonder why you're not getting the results that you feel you should get. Well, hell, they dulled down the deal. They dulled it down. They dulled down the perspective. So you're not extracting. Let's put it like that. You're not extracting everything positive and all the good out of it. You know, you're not getting all the nutrients out of it that can make you whole. You just get 10% nutrition out of a fruit that should give you 100%. So when you looking at life through those eyes, it's blurred. So Colin Kaepernick and those who are taking a stand, they're taking a stand on the basis of knowledge, because they understand what it's saying, what the Star Spangled Banner is detailing. They understand that, and they saying, as a person, how can I, in righteous character, stand up for something that the foundation of it was promoting my demise? That means that I would have to be a zombie. Now we're going back into Liverpool, New Hampshire. You look at that picture that they're showing of that couple in Liverpool, New Hampshire, and remember, this is 2016. 1814, they coming up, they fighting the war against the Brits, and they so enthusiastic about it because they saw Francis Scott Key saw that flag remaining after all them ships was bombarded with bombs. That he had to put a poem to it, which later became a song. Now today, New Hampshire has so much drugs, heroin addicts, that now that the scene is resembling a zombie movie when you see them in public, whether they walking or driving, they look like zombies. Check out the picture. And that could be predicated to all these zombie movies that's coming out, but these people are walking zombies. These people are driving. They driving the cars. Now that picture, it like zombies. It look like something out of the Night of the Living Dead. To tie it all in together, that the same drugs or chemical weapons that was used against black people backfired, and now white people are suffering from the same thing. So this is where we at in this time. And not saying that the white people that are suffering from this heroin addiction, not saying that they deserve heroin, to be heroin addicts. No, I'm simply saying that they launched a chemical attack on the inner cities, and this is based on karmatic lesson. It came back And now, the same weapon that was used purposely against the inner city now is becoming epidemic within their communities. So, this is Verbal Pig Radio. We're going to keep hitting you with shows of everyday life. Make sure y'all stay tuned in. And we out.